Loading hot takes in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back into Twin Takes Fantasy Football. As this video goes live, it is Friday, August 26th, and this basically kicks off fantasy football draft season. Yes, this week is the final week of preseason games, week 3 of the preseason. So we've seen how some of these drafted players, how some of these new signings have integrated with their teams. We've seen all the hype come out of camp. We've seen the unfortunate injuries that have realigned our standings on certain players. And this is about as much information as we're all going to have over this whole course of the summer. And speculation has all come to a head in starting this weekend, where I know there's a ton of drafts going on up to the next 2 weeks for the start of the league. Everyone's getting ready, putting all that knowledge to the test, and getting ready to build their championship team. I would not be a true fantasy football YouTube channel if I did not do a mock draft of my own. So here we are to simulate what it's going to be like on draft day, kind of give you my takes, how I approach the draft, and hopefully give you guys some good tips to help you win your leagues as well, especially with starting off with a good draft. Now, this league is just some of my personal preferences. It's a half-point 12-team standard PPR, or half-point PPR standard 12-team league, which I feel is the most common amount of members in a league. 4-point QB, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, tight end, 2 flex. Basically, take out the kickers because I don't like kickers and replace it with an additional flex spot, and then obviously still a defense there. Just my preferred scoring method, and obviously gives you a lot of flexibility for building your team. So, like most teams, the draft order is randomized. So I can't come in here and say, oh, I'm going to draft from spot 3 and, build out a very organized plan that has been pre-rehearsed. I'm going to randomize my spot right now and kind of react like I would be in any normal draft situation. Hey Siri, pick a random number between 1 and 12.
The answer is 3.
Okay, just call me Nostradamus. That was beyond weird, but here I am in the 3rd spot, and let's start our draft. Not going to lie, I am a little freaked out by that. I'm kind of freaked out by that. So this is a great example. This is not going to happen in a draft. Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor will be the first 2 picks off the board. If I was here and this happened in a real life draft, yes, I would smash Jonathan Taylor, but sometimes the mock drafts screw up. And I'm going to assume like Jonathan Taylor is not here because under no uncertain circumstances should he be here. So I'm going to operate under how I think the draft should play out in addition to whatever sleeper determines for me here. So right now, assuming Jonathan Taylor has gone 102, for me it's really between Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook. I always like to approach the draft strategy with a balanced, very balanced team comp. So, good mix of RBs and wide receivers at the top of the draft, which allows me to, pick best talent available as we get down the draft board rather than having to reach for more running backs or more wide receivers. Just the way I think the draft is going to play out, I will have an opportunity for some good high-end running backs towards the end of the 2nd round, and the wide receivers I like around there aren't going to be very good. So I'm going to start off with Dalvin Cook. So just seeing how this plays out. Jonathan Taylor falling to number 5 is ridiculous. That will not happen. So, I just have to actually pretend like some of these things don't actually happen in real life. That's rough. That is really rough. I was hoping that either Saquon or Aaron Jones would fall to me at this spot. That's hard. But this is what we do: is we pivot. And like I said, we're going to go for a balanced draft. I'm not high on Javonte Williams. You see, I told you about why I'm not super high on him in the first couple rounds. Leonard Fournette, I just don't trust the Buccaneers offense right now, especially with the severe hits that they've taken to their offensive line recently. Zeke is a good running back, but right here, Mike Evans is staring me right in the face. I think he's going to be a top wide receiver. I think he's going to be way better than Hill. I think he might even have a chance to outplay some of these guys up here. So Mike Evans is the clear pick for me right here. Let's see what happens. So now we go down the draft board. Let's look, and Ezekiel Elliott's still on the board. Keenan Allen's still on the board. But right here, there's 3 players that I really like, and I mentioned in my wide receivers to win you a league and running backs to win you a league. And I don't think, especially being around a turn, it's reach for your guys. Go get your guys. You don't have to stay and like be like, oh, well, ADP is telling me that the best running back is Ezekiel Elliott. No, don't worry about ADP. Get your guys, set your team. Don't hedge. Build the guys that you think are going to win your roster. And there's 3 guys that are around this that I think are going to win me a league. Michael Pittman, Travis Etienne, and Jalen Waddle. Right here, I'm going to play a little bit of the game. I think Etienne might fall to me. So I'm going to go with Michael Pittman. I know for a fact Michael Pittman will not get back to me at this spot at the 410. So I'm going to take a risk, going to go with Michael Pittman. But Etienne was definitely on the board there. The more I look at this, the more I realize Etienne's not going to get back to me either. So I will have to pivot and figure out what I'm going to do here at the 410. Jalen Waddle goes. That's certainly disappointing. Josh Jacobs, Antonio Gibson. Definitely not touching Antonio Gibson. Right here, I think I'm going to go opt for another wide receiver. I don't want to take, obviously, the running back that I really wanted here was Etienne, but he came nowhere close to following me. He has been rising up the draft boards in recent weeks. Right here, it's really between Mike Williams and Courtland Sutton. They're both really similar. They're both big body wide receivers. They both win down the field. They both play in that arms race that is the AFC West. They both are like the 1A. They're both like the 1B wide receiver in their respective offenses. But I'm going to have to go with the guy that has the better quarterback, in my opinion, and that's Mike Williams. Also, the guy that has less of a threat from a running standpoint. I think Austin Eckler in that running game will regress just a little bit. I think Brandon Staley is going to really build out the wide receiver and the passing portion of the Chargers offense. So because of all those reasons, I'm taking Mike Williams over Courtland Sutton, and I will absolutely draft him here. So I'm going to continue on here. If J.K. Dobbins fell to me, he would certainly be a consideration here, but otherwise, I definitely am very uncomfortable with any of these running backs here. Josh Jacobs, Antonio Gibson. I'm staying away from them entirely. I'm not going to reach for a tight end here, so I'm going to keep going wide receiver. I'm going to build up a really, really strong wide receiver room here. Obviously, I would have hoped to leave the top 5 rounds with 2 running backs, but I'm not going to reach for players just yet. I'm going to do a hero RB strategy. I believe in Dalvin Cook, and I believe that I can build a good team around him as long as I have wide receivers that can build out my flex spot as well. So consideration here is Courtland Sutton, Allen Robinson, Marquis Brown, Brandon Cooks. A lot of these guys that I think belong in this tier. For me personally, it's going to be either Courtland Sutton or Marquis Brown. It's which one do I believe in? Marquis Brown was one of my guys I think can win you a league. I think in that particular offense, I think with the college connection with Kyler Murray, I think he's going to take a massive step up. I'm getting Stephon Diggs vibes for when Diggs went over to Buffalo. So while this might be a very hot take, I am going to reach a little bit for Marquis Brown. Very happy for that, and I like to just keep up that trend. All my wide receivers have to start with the name M. I have 3 Michaels on my team. I love that. I love my building a theme with my team. So going to happen, and great. Okay, so now we're back here, and Jalen Hurts is gone. Kyler Murray is gone. That's certainly unfortunate, but let's see. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is gone. A.J. Dillon's gone. I'm going to keep pushing down the board. Going to take one more. Going to keep going. Going to take one more wide receiver here in Drake London, and then I'll probably call it quits on my wide receiver core because I've certainly put a lot of time and effort into that wide receiver core, and I'm very happy with that. Dallas Goedert goes, which is totally fine. I've already committed to punting the tight end position, so we're going to look for guys that I think will certainly help win me my fantasy league. We're looking down here. We're only seeing 2 guys that have a need for a quarterback, so I'm gonna keep punting that position. one of the things I talked about was how do I anticipate the draft going. Right now, if we look at quarterbacks, Trey Lance is really far down here in ADP. I don't think that's going to be accurate. In a lot of these leagues you guys are playing in, he's been skyrocketing up the draft boards, being taken over Dak Prescott and Russell Wilson. I've seen him go over Jalen Hurts a few times, definitely in this round right here. So I'm very comfortable waiting to get Dak Prescott on the return. So I'm going to go down, figure out one of those guys that I already mentioned was a running back that I think can really help win leagues, especially to the start of the season. That's going to be Chase Edmonds. So I will take Chase Edmonds here in the 7th round, maybe a little bit of a reach, but I'm very much okay with that because I already have 5 wide receivers, and I think this wide receiver room is stacked beyond stacked. Dak Prescott goes, which is fine. So let's just operate under the assumption that, Trey Lance did go ahead of Dak Prescott. If Trey Lance is here in the 8th round, I'm absolutely taking a shot on him. Absolutely taking a shot on him. And obviously if Trey Lance has gone before this, that means either Russell Wilson or Dak has gone. So even though I am taking Trey Lance here in the 8th round, I don't think he'll be here. And I cannot express this enough that he will be going higher than the 8th round. This is just the ADP has not caught up in this particular mock draft, but you can use Trey Lance and Dak Prescott interchangeably here. Totally fine. Right here, if I'm going with a running quarterback with a high upside like Trey Lance or like a Dak Prescott or even like a Jalen Hurts or a Kyler Murray, I'm going to want to bring some stability to that position, and that is going to be Matthew Stafford. However, I do know that I'm looking at my team right now, and I'm seeing that Dameon Pierce won't get back to me. So I was going to take Stafford, but it's good to take a breath, see who's on the board. I know Dameon Pierce doesn't get back to me. He's one of my guys. Matthew Stafford, he has a lingering elbow issue, but he is a great quarterback. But I think I can get very similar production out of like a Derek Carr or another quarterback way down the board. Just positional depth at quarterback is better than the positional depth at running back. So I got to take my guy Dameon Pierce here. Just between Chase Edmonds and Dameon Pierce, I think those are 2 amazing pieces to supplement my hero RB strategy in Dalvin Cook. And I'm very, very happy with the way this team is turning out so far. I still have plenty of picks left to go. Do not care about any of these tight ends whatsoever. Super fine. Listen, take as many tight ends as you want. I'm not going to worry about it. Actually going to continue. See, Derek Carr is here. I like Derek Carr. I think he's going to be put in a situation the way Stafford was put in a situation last year. He's going over above his ADP. I think he's in that explosive AFC West Conference where they're going to have to be throwing a ton. Going to be a ton of points put on the board. I think Derek Carr reaps the benefit of that, even with kind of a little bit of a downer O-line. So I'm going to take Derek Carr here to back up a little bit of a safety blanket for my Trey Lance pick. Definitely going to keep going running back here. There's a guy I'm definitely targeting. Is Tyler Algier. I've loved everything I've seen out of him in the preseason. He was running amazingly down there in Falcons. I don't want to say I'm rising on the Falcons because I'm not a Falcons fan, but I do think that they'll be able to, they'll surprise some people. I think Marcus Mariota is better than some people realize. Tyler Algier looks to be an amazing third-day draft capital pick. So I'm loving everything. Apparently I'm all in on this Falcons offense between Drake London and Tyler Algier. I just think they're 2 extremely, extremely talented players. Listen, if this happens in real life, boom, Isaiah Pacheco is a smash pick here, but he's not going to be here. I promise you that's another one of those guys where the ADP here in the mock drafts has not caught up to the hype in real life. I assume that Isaiah Pacheco is going to be going right around this 9th round. I see him on par with Dameon Pierce and Melvin Gordon. So if Isaiah Pacheco is here, I'm taking him, obviously, without a doubt. That the value is too good. But he just won't be there. So I'm going to resort to another guy that I really like in Jameson Williams. Obviously, if you have an IR spot, he is a great late-round pick. The talent was there. He was arguably the most talented receiver coming out of this class. Who else is there in Detroit to really take away targets from him? And he's going to be crucial coming down the back-end stretch as you make a push for the playoffs and the fantasy championship. He'll slot into that offense. I think he's going to thrive. Taking those dump offs and those short routes from Jerry Goff. I could go on here for 30 minutes talking about how good the talent is behind Jameson Williams, and think he'll be great towards the latter end of the season, just the way Amon-Ra was last year. So I would take Isaiah Pacheco here, but Jameson Williams is the pick here for me. Obviously, I have 2 more picks, and I'm going to just do tight end. Obviously, one of the more recent videos I did was sleepers I need to wake up. I talked about some late round tight ends that are fantastic. So just going to pick any 2 of those guys, David Njoku, Noah Fant, Robert Tonyan, Evan Ingram. They'll all be here at the end of your draft. So I'm just going to take 2. I'm going to play the waiver wire on them and hopefully, strike gold. There's a lot of waiver wire tight ends that make it every year. And like last year, Dalton Schultz was a waiver wire guy. Dawson Knox was a waiver wire guy. And they ended up being the tight end 3 and 4 respectively in fantasy. So, just grab 2 tight ends at the end of the round. I didn't pick a defense here because I don't care about defense. I'm going to play it week to week. I'll figure out, probably pick up a defense after I stash Jameson Williams on my IR spot. Then I can go in and pick up anyone I feel like. Off the top of my head, I know Eagles play the Jets. No, the Eagles play the Lions in the first game of the season. So I love what I'm seeing out of Jordan Davis and their rookies. Just pick up a defense. I could not care less. I'm not even going to draft a defense. Ended up going I talked so much about having a balanced start to the draft, and then I ended up going with Hero RB, which is a complete pivot, just the way the board fell to me. And that's what you have to be ready to do. You have to be ready to pivot and take the guys that you think are most talented at that position. I love this wide receiver core: Mike Evans, Pittman, Williams, and Brown. Dalvin Cook, I think, is going to be a top 3 back, which is why I reached a little bit, take him over Derrick Henry. Again, we're assuming that Jonathan Taylor has gone like a normal person would take him in the 1 or 2 spot. And then, I have Chase Edmonds there for spot starts. Damian Pierce and Tyler Algier, I think, are going to have tremendous roles as the season gets going. So, and then I have my upside running QB with Trey Lance, and then I have Derek Carr as kind of that safety blanket. And I'm incredibly happy with this draft. Hopefully, I kind of walked you through the analysis of each pick, where I was going with them, why I took certain guys over others, which guys I liked in specific tiers. Just make sure that, don't panic, don't tilt. At the end of the day, I always say talent wins out. So, as I got down to this 5th, 6th round, I could have panicked. I could have tilted. I could have reached for Josh Jacobs or, down here gone Miles Sanders. But, I looked at the board. I figured out what was the most talented available, how I'm going to build my draft. And that's the way that I choose to play it. Build talent. Success will come naturally. So hopefully this gave you guys some ideas. I'll talk a little bit more about the draft and some certain strategies prior to the start of the NFL season. Any other questions about drafting strategies or the draft in general, just throw them down in the comments below. We'll try to get to all you guys. And hopefully this prepares you for a long weekend of fantasy football drafts. Take care.